Well, hi, Samantha. Welcome to Casual Space.
Thank you, Beth. I'm glad to be here.
Happy Friday. There's so much going on, and especially in your world, you have some big things in your backyard, something very new and
Yes.
exciting.
Yes, on the very near horizon too. Um,
Yeah, welcome.
so yeah, we're just about to open our new visitor center, which is the Marley Foundation Astronomy Discovery Center. Um, so very exciting. It's a major upgrade from the facility that we have currently.
Congrats.
It'll be a 40,000 square foot building with some
Wow.
really cool amenities. So I can't wait to tell you all about it.
I can't wait to hear, and neither can the audience. Okay, let's start with where you're located.
Okay, so we are in Flagstaff, Arizona, which is in northern Arizona, not in the desert, as people often assume. Although we're in the high desert, so it's an arid climate, but it's a little bit cooler than, say, Phoenix or Tucson.
Okay. Beautiful. No obstruction there to see the beautiful night sky.
That's
And
right, yes.
easy to access, I'm sure, and a real draw for people. How are the people in the community receiving this new place?
They are so excited. I can tell you a story about my daughter is in first grade this year. And so last year I was able to take her kindergarten teachers on a tour of the facility while it was still under construction. And so that kind
Okay.
of built anticipation. And then they returned for a tour a couple of weeks ago, and they are just blown away. And for educators in our community, we've never had a science center. And so this will be Northern Arizona's first science center.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm just so excited about what that means for our community. And not only, locally, but there are a number of underserved communities nearby. We have the Navajo and the Hopi reservations very near to Flagstaff, and they frequent Lowell on field trips. So this will be such a wonderful asset.
Fantastic. I love science centers, especially the hands-on stuff and the displays and the interactive. So, can you highlight and walk us through what are some of those things that not only make the students excited, but space geeks and everyday science nerds like me?
Absolutely, yes. So in our facility, the major attractions include two exhibit halls, and one of those is specifically for kids. That's kind of the science center aspect that I was referring to. But also
Big
in the
kids
main
too?
big
Big kids?
kids too,
Okay, good, good.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yes. It's been so fun because so the children's gallery is mostly together at this point, and so we've been able to bring people in, and I love watching adults come in, and especially serious adults, because you get those people in the gallery and the seriousness just melts away and they
Oh,
turn into kids again. It's so fabulous.
space will do
So
that. Space and
that's
science
right.
will do that. It's a beautiful thing to watch, right? Because you see the kids interacting, but if we can just put our screens down for a moment and have some really into, and even if it's still interactive with screens, but you're seeing things in a different perspective, or you have the moments to slowly walk through it at your own pace, and you're not on a timeline, and it's not like a deadline, and you just enjoy it. It changes you, and it changes the way you enjoy things. You can just, like you said, that was perfect. I love what you said, melt away. They just melt into it.
Yeah, yeah.
There's an
Um,
exhibit up here in Chicago, at the Science Museum, that is the science behind James Bond. And I am
oh,
dying to go, and I cannot wait to just, I don't want to have a time limit. I just want to be like, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? But space, that's James Bond. I mean, you have to have, that's a niche, right? But when it comes to
right.
space, all ages, right? And all people and all backgrounds. So I love that you get to observe this and have the witness to seeing this melting happen. Beautiful.
Yes, so much fun. And I'm going to go off track here, but as a personal anecdote, I grew up in Flagstaff and I started to come up to Lowell when I was probably about 5. And I can remember my first time going inside the Clark Telescope Dome and walking up to the eyepiece. And, it's a 30-foot long refracting telescope. And the whole facility feels like it's kind of set in a Jules Verne novel. So
Yeah.
very otherworldly. So anyway, that memory like just is seared into me. And
Mhm.
looking through the eyepiece and seeing Jupiter for the first time was mind blowing.
I was going to
And
ask you what you saw. Yeah,
yes, yeah, I mean, it's my memory is totally exaggerated. Like I remember Jupiter filling the whole eyepiece and like,
sure.
seeing it in what seemed like great detail. But anyway, that I really feel like that experience and the ones that followed it here at Lowell really ignited this sense of curiosity that I've carried with me throughout my life. And one of the most rewarding things that I get to do now is to witness other people having those moments at Lowell. And I
Oh,
am so excited to see all of those moments that are going to happen in our new visitor center.
I'm
Um,
excited too. This is
yeah,
great.
it's amazing. So the children's gallery is set up as kind of an overview of like the basic physics and science concepts that are important in astronomy. So it kind of lays the foundation for kids in a hands-on way. So we only have one screen in the entire exhibit hall for
Oh,
kids,
wow.
and that is a display of an IR camera. So
Oh,
not
okay.
one that you really touch. You do interact with it visually, but anyway, so it's all hands-on. And so many good opportunities for kids to just get in there and start learning. And I've been able to have my own daughter in there and play around and it's so fun to see her make little discoveries and connections as she's playing with these things. Like
Sure.
learning through play is the best way to do it. And we
Yes.
set it
I
up
love
in
it.
there to do that. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So anyway, the educators are excited. We're excited. We're at a stage now where we're slowly bringing in the kids of our staff members and the staff members, of course, the adults are becoming children also in there.
Oh,
Um,
that's fun.
yeah.
That would be
And
me.
then,
Touch everything. I would touch everything.
right. Yes. Um, and then we also have an installation of the planets to scale in this exhibit hall. So Jupiter is like 8 feet in diameter, or
Ooh,
actually probably closer to 10 feet. So, you really get a sense of scale seeing it in that way. It's
I love it.
amazing. Um,
That's cool.
and we have Pluto in our gallery as well.
Hey, guess
Fun
who's back?
fact. Yeah.
Pluto's
And
back.
Pluto was discovered here at Lowell in 1930, so it's very dear to
Right.
our hearts.
Of
Yes.
course. Well, there's where it needs to be.
Yes. Yep.
Protesters, keep it nice because it
Yeah.
needs to be there.
Yes. It is a planet. It's a dwarf planet, is what we like to say. So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
certain class of planet called a dwarf planet.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
So yeah, I'll just keep moving on through the various things we have in this wonderful new building. So in addition to that children's exhibit hall, we also have an astronomy gallery. It's kind of a general covers general concepts in astronomy for the older kids, including
Nice.
adults. And
Good.
we have that one focused on solar systems. So it's an opportunity to tell people about this amazing information that we've gleaned over the last 30 years about exoplanets and,
Oh,
discoveries that corroborate that we're not the only solar system in the universe. They're
huh.
everywhere. Yeah. So really an opportunity to kind of help people move through that paradigm shift that we've seen in our understanding of the universe and kind of our place in it.
Okay. Very cool.
And
And go ahead.
sorry, Beth. So we also did kind of an innovative thing, although it's kind of catching on in the informal science communities, to frame our content around a story. And the story is about the visitor. So we are telling them the story of their atoms and how those atoms
Oh,
traveled through the
nice.
universe to become part of them.
Oh, I love it. I love
Yes.
this. Very cool. Very, very cool.
So in
Um,
the center of the building, we have this installation that kind of serves as the trailer for that experience. So we have something that kind of replicates the Big Bang on the ceiling. Only instead of a big flashy thing, we chose to do the first subatomic particles that formed. So we have those swirly patterns that we see here on Earth, those particle tracks, as this beautiful kind of illuminated display. And then as you move through the volume of the space, we have this sculpture that depicts the evolution of atoms, of matter over time, from
oh,
simple ones up top to complicated ones down below. And then it opens up on the ground to landforms that we will project a film onto that showcases the beauty and diversity of life on Earth,
oh, wow.
from kind of microscopic to macroscopic scales. And the really cool part is that the visitor becomes part of this kind of living sculpture as they interact with it and, observe the stuff that's being displayed on the landforms. And ultimately, it's, the Big Bang to life and to them specifically.
Wow. So you're standing there and you're a part of the exhibit.
Yes.
That's so
Yes.
cool. That's mind blowing. Have you seen kids experience this too and be like, "Oh, I'm made of atoms. This all makes sense now." Not that they say that. Kids don't say
Right.
that, but that's cool.
Well, they at least think it's cool. I
Good.
definitely have some data points that suggest kids think it's cool. So
Nice.
that's,
I
yeah.
love that. I love exhibits like that where you feel like, well, not only does it make sense, back in the day when you would go to museums back in the day, and you'd have to read so much, and it wasn't as interactive and it wasn't as artistic, and it was just like, read and read the display, and then maybe you'd get a quiz in school and like, did you read this and how did it go? Yeah, I guess you can learn, and I guess it's intriguing. And if it's something you're interested in, then it stays with you. But I remember one of my first museum experiences was at, I think, the Smithsonian in DC. I'm not sure. And the whale was on the ceiling, this huge whale, like a sperm whale that was so big. And the shadow of it was on the ground that you walked on. And so you were just walking and walking and walking. As a little kid,
Wow.
you look up and you see this. Well, first of all, interesting for the museum to put a whale above you instead of like, below or down in the water. So it's
Ooh.
already above you, and that's great, crazy. And then the shadow of it really got the size perspective for you. And I'll never
Yeah.
forget that as a little girl, just being like, I'm so small, and an animal like this is so big. I also remember another exhibit where same with like an octopus, and it ran the length of like the exhibit, like the
Wow.
legs. Yeah, so whenever it's stars, some of the things I know people, space people like me, when we go to planetarium shows and we watch things that are space related, and there's this movement and you can feel, it really helps you grasp the size and the scope of the universe. And it's easy to lose your place within it because it's like, I think we've all seen it where it's like the Earth, then the planets, then the system, then beyond and beyond. And by the time you're like way out here, you're like, okay, I give
Yeah.
up. Just it's a speck of dust in this huge universe,
Yes. Totally. Yeah.
right?
And I think it's such an interesting time because, we've learned so much about the universe in the last 100 years, really. Like we've expanded the scale of the universe. I don't know how many fold. I mean, 100 years ago we thought really the Milky Way was the extent of the universe, and now we know it's littered with galaxies and yeah.
Right?
So I'm so excited that we'll have the ability to provide those visualizations for people, like in our, it's not really a planetarium. We call it the Lowell Universe Theater. And
Okay.
it's an immersive space. So the screen is about 100 feet wide and 25 feet tall. So it's got a really odd
Oh,
aspect ratio. And And it also has an overhead cat's eye screen that kind of joins up to it. So it's a
Oh,
cylinder, the main screen. So it's very immersive. It wraps about 160 degrees around you.
oh
Um,
wow.
and it's LED rather than projection.
Okay.
So it's 16K resolution, which is mind-blowing. And we'll be able to do those, visualizations where you start, just as you mentioned, like at Earth, and then kind of step out through almost that powers of 10 exercise.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I couldn't be more excited for that. I can't wait to do one of those shows myself.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Kids love
because
it. Sometimes
oh, it's
adults are like,
amazing.
"Oh, I'm going to be sick," because they go
Yeah.
so. You have to be careful the speed in which you go, because the kids are fine,
Yes.
but adults are like, "Slow
Yes.
down."
We don't want to make people dizzy or sick, so yes,
Right,
we'll have
right.
to take
Well,
it
it gets
easy.
dark and you move
Yeah.
along, and pretty soon you start flying through these massive objects and planets and bodies. People are like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah. But yeah, we had a small hemisphere that we projected onto years ago. And, just based on what we were able to do with that simple tool that was literally like 10 feet in diameter, this half dome that we projected onto, um, I can't wait to see what we'll be able to do in this big new theater.
Ah,
Um, and then in addition to that theater on the rooftop, we have an open sky planetarium that
what is
takes
that?
advantage of the real sky.
What?
Yes. So we're
Oh my
situated
gosh.
about 50 feet above ground level when we're up there. And we did it, we went so high to get above the treetops here, because we're in a ponderosa pine forest. So we needed to build up tall to get above those trees.
Oh, okay.
Um, and it seats about 160 people. There's no dome. It's the real sky is the dome. And we're able to take advantage of Northern Arizona's beautiful dark skies. In fact, I was going to give you a fun fact earlier. We're actually the world's first international dark sky community. We have that
Oh,
designation. So yeah,
yes, yes. So is it in the round or is it like a half round?
it's in the round and it's
Oh,
oriented north-south with the audience facing south, because that's where all the
okay.
good stuff is in the sky. Not all the good stuff, but most of
Right,
it.
right.
Like the
Wow.
planets and the center of the Milky Way at the right time of year.
And
So
how will that go ahead? I was
the
just going to ask
idea,
how that would be used.
yes. So another fun fact and important to mention is we have heated seats in our dark
Whoa.
sky planetarium.
Okay, I'm in. Now you've got me. I was just thinking like cozy nights, bring a nice blanket. I know it can get
Yes.
cool. And then just, oh, the pines smell. Oh, and being outside. This is amazing. Um,
Yes.
how about visiting guides? Do you have guides on staff as well and educators, or will you have lectures and guides and astronomers come for this part of the show too?
Yes, we will. So,
Oh my gosh.
we, sorry, I'm getting a reminder from my computer. So we have educators who lead programs here and also astronomers. We're an active research facility, which is another thing that makes us unique is that we're both a research center and an outreach center. And we have educators lead programs. They'll be doing that in the Universe Theater that I mentioned inside, and also in
Right.
this dark sky planetarium. And up on the rooftop, we have another innovative piece of technology, which is an LED screen that comes out of a wall and unfolds. And it is special technology that allows us to dim the screen to very low light levels while retaining the color rendition. So
Okay.
the idea there is that we could have an educator giving a program point to something like the Orion Nebula with their laser pointer,
Hmm.
and, the audience would see that as kind of a fuzzy star. And then on the screen, they can call up an image of the Orion Nebula. Maybe they start with it as a fuzzy star and then zoom into it to show the audience, what we've come to know about this thing that at one time we could only see as a fuzzy star. And so the idea there is you're able to in real time kind of couple those things together that are often disjointed at other places, even here
Yeah.
now. So that the hope is that the audience leaves with seeing more depth in the night sky. So the next time they're outside, they're able to look up and, see that fuzzy star and recall what it actually looks like.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Perfect. Oh, great. Astronomers, educators, lecturers. I can see a lot happening here. Okay.
Yes.
Where are we in the process in the launch? When will everyone be able to come and enjoy it?
So we are very close.
Uh-huh.
Our grand opening is November 16th of this
Okay.
year.
Okay.
So, yep, we're just about a month out. And
Awesome.
well, I should also mention that we'll have members preview events in the lead up to the grand opening. So if somebody were to become a member, they'd get kind of that exclusive access in the lead up to the grand opening. But beginning November 16th, will be open to the general public.
Great. This sounds really great. Let's talk a little bit more about the history of Lowell
Great.
before it was this beautiful brand new building. Walk us through.
Okay. So the observatory was founded in 1894 by Percival Lowell. So his family was quite wealthy, and he took an interest in astronomy, particularly in the planet Mars. He was interested in whether there was life on Mars, and so he established this observatory to investigate that. And in 1896, he purchased a large refracting telescope to help him conduct those studies of Mars. And it's a telescope that we still have on site to this day,
Cool.
and is available to the public to look through, like I did as a young girl.
Wow.
Um,
From 1836, did you say?
1896.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay.
Still
Wow.
very impressive. Yeah.
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 And it was designed to study the planets. And so it's a fabulous telescope to see Saturn for the first time, for instance. So it's really does it's wonderful for the planets.
Fun.
And
Okay.
and um, so Percival Lowell founded the observatory. Over the years, he brought on other people to help do various things. One of the people that he brought on was Vesto Slifer, who went on he's somewhat of an unsung hero in astronomy.
Such a
Um,
name.
yes, and he was the first one to measure radial velocities of galaxies. And
Wow.
at, at the time, because of kind of our worldview, we didn't, again, understand that there were other galaxies necessarily at that point. And so while he made this discovery, he didn't really realize the implication of it. And so while it's incredibly important, Hubble sometimes, kind of gets all the credit because he was able to build off of what Slifer discovered, and to basically, this went on to this led to the idea that the universe is expanding.
I see. I see. I had never heard of him before you said the name.
Really?
No,
Yeah.
I hadn't. No.
He's an unsung hero, and yes,
Very cool. And it just rolled off your tongue. Do you do a lot of
yes,
history at the center?
we do. Yes, because we've been around for so long, we have such a rich history. Um,
Very cool.
and And I started as an educator, so I led tours and did telescope viewing for the general public. So
Perfect.
as an educator, you're kind of required to come up to speed on all things Lowell.
Well, and you get to see it all. Like
Yes,
inside, I can imagine when you're able to see everyone else looking through those telescopes too and having that moment. So now both inside the Lowell and outside looking, it's all there. And you get to really
yes,
capture that moment. It's a moment, isn't it?
absolutely. Yes. I
Yeah.
I have seen numerous people be moved to tears at the sight of Saturn through the Clark telescope. So yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm so glad that there's places like Lowell that can allow that to happen and for people of all ages, because it really is a universal language when you're looking up at the night sky and you're like, you can just anyone from any place speaking any language, you can just point to the telescope and look at each other and be like, this is
Yeah.
incredible, right? You can see it on your
Yeah.
face. Um, not far from there, we had talked a little bit right before we went live. I was asking how close you were to Oracle. There's a bunch of geeks like us, like me, that host our annual Analog Astronaut Conference. And the skies in Arizona out there are just, if you've never seen it, if you're from a place that has, a little bit more city lights or light pollution, and you get to an observatory like Lowell, or you get to a place where, that it's just such clarity and such beautiful starlight, it does take your breath away. It is something that if you're not used to seeing it and then you do see it, there's a real moment there where you think about life and the origins of life and your life and where it all fits. And those moments when you can capture it or observe it in others and having that, it's real special.
Oh, that's so great. Yes. And we are trying to do that with the new facility to kind of identify or help people understand that no matter what our backgrounds are, we all wrestle with the same big questions, and that astronomy is very much focused on some of those questions. And, it's an opportunity to invite people to look at those questions through the lens of astronomy and to learn about the amazing things we're discovering. And and I think in the dark sky planetarium on the rooftop in particular, we're going to have some of those, really contemplative moments. We'll see that with our visitors because it's something like 80% of the population of the world has never seen the Milky Way, for instance. And you can see it here. We will be
Oh,
able to see it from the Dark Sky Planetarium. So,
from the roof.
yes,
So
yes.
cool. This is so
From your
great.
heated seat as well.
From your
Yes.
heated seat
Yes.
on the roof. Oh, I
Yes.
can't even imagine. Okay, so let's talk about some of the fun things that you're going to open up to members. You mentioned members, so people that can
Mhm.
come and probably enjoy that in a very specific way. I'm sure there's levels, and you talked about educators and students. I want to invite everyone to come and check it out, regardless of where you're from and where you're traveling. And, if you've never gone to an observatory before, there's always a first. Why not Lowell? So after you said the 19th or 16th of November.
16th. 16th.
Okay. So holidays, people can come out and enjoy.
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're open 6 days of the week, including
Okay.
nights. And I believe we'll be open at noon and closing at 10 p.m. on those days that we're open.
Nice.
So yeah, opportunities to do things during the day, including to learn about our history, our rich history. And then in the evening time, to do all the stargazing, weather permitting, and
Sure.
looking through telescopes and all kinds of fun stuff. And obviously, all the stuff that there is inside the Astronomy Discovery Center as well. So that theater and the exhibits.
Perfect. Well, where can people go online to find more, purchase tickets, and make their trip?
Good question. I would send people to lowell.edu, and that's Lowell.
.edu. Okay, fantastic. And is Flagstaff the closest nearby city?
It is, yes. So
Okay,
we're essentially in Flagstaff. We are a
perfect.
mile from downtown Flagstaff.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Yes.
Okay, that's Arizona for you. Just still be
Yes.
in the city and have views like that.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's really cool. I want to ask you, you mentioned already the first time that you looked through the telescope. What made you stay in the field? Obviously, you're a big supporter of all things space and science and working for to support the Lowell Center. So, what was it that made you stay?
So it was the combination of, Lowell Observatory, and also I really credit the dark skies of Flagstaff in propelling me forward into a STEM related career. Just as you mentioned earlier, Beth, that exercise of looking up at the night sky and just wondering, um, and
Mhm.
having access to that dark night sky that really does promote wondering. Uh, those are the things that really I credit for sending me on this path.
I can't wait for more people to have that experience too. For me, if I may share, I'll
Yes,
never
please.
forget, I'm outside of Chicago, but I've lived a number of places throughout my life. And I was just a few years younger, just a couple years ago when this happened. I had seen stars. I remember going to Texas for the first time, like way country, way out, rural Texas, and being just blown away in awe of that night sky. And yet, just when I thought it can't get any better, the stars at night are big and bright deep in the heart of Texas. And
Yeah.
then I went to Hawaii for where they have some observatories right there on Mauna Loa, Mauna Kea, on top of the volcanoes. And we went there on a science expedition and for one of the analog missions. And it was there that I really, really saw the night sky for the first time in my life. And I can't even put words to it, Samantha. And I know you know what I'm talking about. And I can't wait for more people to come and discover that at Lowell because it does really change you, and I'll never forget, I just wanted to stay in that moment forever. I thought I was seeing something surreal. Like, I didn't even realize that there was this, beautiful painted sky. It felt like it was all around me and yet above me, within me. It really just I've never had that experience. I hate who can all go to Hawaii to get that close and,
Yeah.
with them on top of a volcano where you're even elevated to see it all. But at Lowell, you can. I know exactly the night sky you're speaking of. That's so gorgeous, so uninterrupted and so sacred. So I'm very excited for this big announcement, the grand opening after November 16th. And if it would be all right, I'd love to come visit.
Please do. Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So lowell.edu, that's where everyone can go and learn more, especially after the holiday. It sounds perfect for your Thanksgiving break and Christmas and in between, and get to check out the brand new center, the brand new observatory and that new observatory smell.
Yeah. Yes.
Are you still like finishing the painting and the is drying and everything's still
Yeah.
just about there? I know how that
Yep.
goes.
There's definitely
Yeah.
some of that going on still. Yes.
Well, my congratulations. Please enjoy and come back and share with us all the updates. And as things rotate through and you get different kinds of exhibits that go through, and we'd love to partner with you for Stories of Space too. If people want to write and share their stories from Lowell and send them up into space, we'd be honored through our Stories of Space non for profit to take those stories if people get inspired up on that rooftop with what they're seeing and they want to write a story, we'll launch it out. So,
Oh, wonderful.
okay. Well, thank you, Samantha. It was a joy to meet you and talk to you. And if I'm out in Flagstaff, maybe even next year, I might make a special trip to get up north there and make sure I'm seeing it and having that experience. I want to know how an atom feels all around me from the ceiling
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
floor.
Yes. And I want you to have that night sky experience again in the dark sky planetarium.
Oh, I want a heated seat with a piece
Yes.
of chocolate in my pocket,
Yes.
and I just want to sit and take it all in.
Yes. We
Okay,
look forward to your visit.
that's a deal. Okay, sounds
Okay.
good. Thanks,
All
Samantha.
right. Thank you.